Welcome to the 64th episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today, we are bringing you the second half of our fall 2018 season's first impressions based on our first few weeks of shows. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we pretty much spoil everything. My name is Bcom, and if at first you don't succeed, destroy all evidence that you tried. With me are my hosts, Kat and Leo.
Hey.
Hello. How's everybody's week been?
My week has been fantastic. It's been RErideD delicious.
I think I might actually pick that game up if I do get all 4 days off for Thanksgiving. So
It's really good if you like petting dogs, but not if you like petting cats, unfortunately.
Oh well, that's fine. I do have a cat story though, if you guys want to hear it.
Yes.
So it's pretty interesting. So a guy at work, he's got this cat that basically showed up last year and decided he owned him. So
that's what happens with cats. Like they pick their owners. Mm-hmm.
He's had this cat for a year, no problems. So he was afraid about getting cold this winter, so he was letting it get used to coming inside and stuff. And then it started just like shitting on everything.
Ooh.
And then one day he saw the cat acting funny. And you're like, oh no, you're not shitting on it. So he gets up to go after it, ends up cornering it, grabs it like by the hind legs, kind of like that area. That cat turns and I guess bit a chunk out of his hand.
Oh my God.
It was so deep that he said with each of his heartbeats, it would splurt a little bit blood. And he had to go get stitches for it. That's how hard this cat fucking bit him.
Oh, shit.
That's a hardcore cat.
That cat was like, listen, dude, you don't fuck around when I'm shitting. Leave me the fuck alone. Do I go into the bathroom when you're taking a shit and try and grab your legs? No, dude. That's what that cat was thinking.
Yeah, but like he had his hand still pretty much wrapped right now. This only happened like a week or two ago.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Dude, he told me that, and I was like, "Have you ever watched Pet Sematary?" Because Jesus Christ,
that's amazing.
Yeah, but that's my crazy cat story. He still got the cat. He's like, "It's back outside."
Yeah.
God. How's your week been, Kat? Any good?
It has been good. I had a fun time on Halloween. Went dancing. It's crazy.
Do you have a good morning, Cat?
Shut up.
Don't fucking bring that video up again. Oh my God.
Oh God.
All right, let's get this podcast started, guys. Let's go full throttle.
Let's go full throttle, boys and goyles. Fridays, we've got Hinomaru, also known as UzaMaid, on Crunchyroll.
Show's awful.
The Japanese title is Uchi no Maid ga Uzasugiru. The source is a manga. The studio is Doga Kobo. And the director is Masahiko Ota, who's well known for doing Himoto Umaru-chan and Gabriel Dropout and Yuri, stuff like that.
Oh, how they have fallen. They went from Himoto Umaru-chan to this bullshit. That's just sad.
Well, like, I will say one thing, though, that is very similar is, like, the OP and ED music is very annoying, like Himoto Umaru-chan and Gabriel Dropout. Well, I kind of liked Gabriel Dropout. It was, like, endearing type of annoying, but this one, like, the OP that's just like, why? I just hate it. I want to kill myself every time I hear it. I hate it so much.
Well, I don't hate it. I like the obnoxious music sometimes. Like, I like the Umaru-chan song because it's like, yeah! Like, but yeah.
All right, let me just kind of lay out the quick premise real quick.
Okay.
Sure.
Bame is a retired military person. She has fallen in love with this very young and cute girl named Misha.
In a creepy love with this fucking girl.
Oh, I'm getting there. She gets hired on as a maid and spends most of her time creeping on Misha. And the show takes it like a step further when she kidnaps Misha with her dad's permission and takes her camping. Then she openly admits to trying to force Misha to get Stockholm Syndrome. I was like, no, just fucking lock her up. I'm done with this.
Yeah, but this is the person like crowd should be chanting "lock her up" about. this person.
Yeah.
Right.
I also want to note the show does make a point of showing how super jacked she is. Like, you can play the xylophone on her abs, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Ripped.
Okay, so first of all, the first offense, in my opinion, is from the beginning, this bitch just keeps repeating that she wants a young white girl to dress up. Several times she repeats this. And at first I was just angry and offended. And I was like, why the fuck is this so, like, this emphasis? Like, it has to be a white girl. And then I'm like, oh, I took a step back from my own cultural context for a second. Tried to think like a Japanese person. I feel like this is probably because in Japan, like, dolls and stuff are like very, like, the blonde dolls, you know what I mean? She's thinking like she wants to
like
dress her up
dolls.
like a doll. So she wants like a blonde, like, doll-like girl to dress up. I think that's what she means. I think in Japan, this is probably not seen as racist. It's probably us thinking that this is... Isn't that weird how that works?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still fucked up from our perspective. Rightly so.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
like, my big problem with the show, I feel like this show is, like, trying to have its cake and eat it too, in the sense that, like, it tries to have these, like, endearing, like, parenting moments where Misha is learning to, like, cope with the fact that, like, she lost her mother as a young girl, and now, like, this crazy maid is her new mother, kind of, and is taking her to do things and, like, getting her out of her shell. But at the same time, this maid is making speeches about how, like, prepubescent girls are, like, the pinnacle, and, like, once you have your first period, you're, like, a broken person and, like, trash.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it's fucked up.
It's so
like
fucked up.
a
It's so
rose
cringy.
is most beautiful before it starts to, like, fall or something bullshit like that. Also, there are creepy moments, like the point where she's washing her underwear, and then she's like, oh, you should wipe better. And like, oh, I cleaned them extra good, don't worry. And I'm like, that's fucked up and weird. No!
Oh, God, yeah.
It's weird.
I'll say my favorite part of the show, though, is Misha's, like, pet ferret. Like, that thing is really cute.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
Animated really well. The show in general is, like, kind of nice looking. Like, it's pretty decently animated. Like, I'm not going to take anything away from it there, but it's just, like, so skin-crawlingly yucky.
This show is
that, like,
trash.
I just can't.
This show is, like, decently produced trash. I don't know why they bother
Pretty
with
much.
this shit. Throw it in the garbage can and find something better to watch. End of the story.
All right.
And that would not be the next show.
Yes.
So, the next show is called Miss Vampire Who Lives in My Neighborhood from Crunchyroll as well. The Japanese title is Tonari no Kyuketsuki-san. It's a 4-koma manga adaptation from studio Gokumi and Axis. And the director is Noriaki Akitaya, who directed Bakuman, like Active Raid, and a couple other shows that, like, nobody has really watched. So, but yeah, Bakuman was actually good, but that was a great manga, so.
Yeah, you saw that last show we just talked about? Well, let me pitch this. What if Misha is a vampire instead, and Tsubame is a lolly herself?
Yeah, that's pretty much
That
the
was
show.
I watched these two shows back to back, and once I got done with this one, I was like, they're almost the exact same thing. It's really weird.
Yeah, because the girl in this one, like, really likes dolls as well,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Akari.
I
and so
noted
she
that.
meets this vampire in the forest, right?
Mhm.
Named Sophie Twilight, which is okay. Sophie Twilight is a
Sophie
really good vampire
Twilight.
name, all right? I like that vampire name. It's really cute.
Okay.
But yeah, like, so she's like, oh my god, you look just like a doll, and like, I have all these dolls at home, and like, I want to move in with you, and like, yeah, it's honestly, because there's like no age gap, it's much cuter. Well, okay, there is actually an age gap though, is the thing with this show, because Sophie as a vampire is 360 years old.
Is it cuter though,
it's
Bcom?
like,
Because now it's just prepubescent girls like crawling all over each other and being like, "Ooh, it's not sexual because we're young, but it's still sexual." Ooh, like it's
yeah,
creepy.
and Sophie even herself says like, can't we just forget about age and consider me to be like 13 forever, like forever 13? I'm like, okay, show, I guess, but like, she's been living for 360 years, so like she kind of has the awareness of an adult, and it's like a little weird. I don't know, but it's like obviously the show just wants to have fun with the whole like cute little girls like all over each other, Yuri shipping, love triangles, blah blah blah. You know,
I get a little icked out with shows like this where it's like, ooh, these girls haven't hit puberty yet, and they're all over each other.
Oh yeah,
it's a little. It's me. At least the Yuri bait shows that they're a little older. Like I can be like, well, it's Yuri bait, but that's fine. But like when it's too young, I'm just like, why?
At one point it's also revealed that like Akari's whole family is like she is. They just love like little girls. Like they like show her mother specifically, and I'm like, oh my god, that household. Burn it to the ground with them inside.
This girl's family did like just let her move in with the vampire, like just in the first episode.
Yeah, they were just fine with it. They were just super laid back.
They were totally on board. They were like, "You get to go live with a lolly? Of course."
No, that is so bullshit, though. Like that would never happen. I don't know. And also, like the vampire orders all her blood online, so like the darker aspect of the whole vampire thing is just completely blown out the window. Like it's gone.
Yeah, it's played for comedy mostly because they're like, oh god, they're so scared of her in there. She's like, I'm ordering my blood off of Amazon now. Like, it's fine.
I just wish that shows like this and UzaMaid, like, couldn't we just all agree that we don't want them anymore? And then we could like save this money that the industry wastes on these every season and like put it into some of the other shows. So like Gurazeni could actually be decently animated and like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wish that was the case, but there is a decently sized audience for these shows who are willing to pay for Blu-rays and merchandise, and they know that audience is there. So
I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with you, but I'm glad you exist. You know. Yes.
They're just looking at it from a business model perspective. Will this make us money? Yes. Then we're doing
whenever
it.
I say things like this too, I'm aware that I've like started to sound old. And I'm like, what's happening to me? Yeah. Oh, no.
It is the children who are wrong, not us, Kat.
Oh,
all right, let's move on to a show that's not about 13-year-old girls. It's called Hinomaru Sumo on Crunchyroll.
If they were 13 years old, it would be better.
Just a bunch of 13-year-olds with their boobs hanging out, like with nothing on. Just... Yeah, you'd like that. All right.
Yes, the Keijo was already made. So.
Jesus.
Studio Gonzo. The director is Konosuke Uda, who directed stuff like Lovely Complex and a bunch of One Piece. And there's also co-director Yasutaka Yamamoto, who directed Jutsu wa Watashi wa, which I like barely remember, and Servant X Service. So yeah, this is an anime about sumo wrestling, basically. Like, the main dude, Hinomaru Ushio, is like striving to become a Yokozuna, which is the highest rank in the sumo wrestling world. Problem is, he's like a real pipsqueak. He's very short. He's like too short to even be like regulation high, like tall enough to become a Yokozuna.
Yeah, but he's jacked.
Yeah, he's totally jacked. He's ripped. And like he's on his way to this like school that is like sort of a powerhouse in sumo wrestling, but he bumps into this kid named Ozeki because he's lost, and who has a much more traditional like sumo wrestling build, like big belly, like big thighs. Ozeki, by the way, also is the name of the sumo wrestling rank that is second only to the Yokozuna. So he's, I don't know, I assume that's what his character is going to be, like the second to Hinomaru. And so Hinomaru is like so impressed by Ozeki, who's like built his own like outdoor like sumo wrestling ring, that he basically decides to just go to this different high school instead, like that he just ended up at by accident. But they get into trouble because these like delinquents have taken over the sumo dojo at the school, and they like want to fight, and then like Hinomaru like faces off against this like delinquent leader guy named Yuma, who's a karate champion, and Hinomaru pretty much just handles him, you know. Yeah. Oh, do you like that guy, Kat?
He's okay. I don't know. So like this anime, it's not bad. I like the fact that it's covering a sport that like I've never seen an anime made about before. And it's nice learning stuff about sumo, like, because I had no idea that if you touch the ring with like anything other than your feet, you lose. I thought it was basically just Japanese wrestling.
Yeah, I really like that learning about the sumo stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I like how he's going up against like different martial art styles, like the karate guy, and then they introduced the MMA guy who wants to be an MMA fighter in the U.S.
Yeah,
the traditional sumo guy.
Yeah. However, like. This doesn't spark for me, this anime. And I think it's because the challenge with any sports anime is to engage the audience with the struggle. It's very similar to shounen in that way, the sports genre is. Like, you want to, like, kind of know that eventually the main character will win, but still be super invested in them, like, fighting to get there. And, like, suffering with the losses and feeling inspired when they're training and everything. I don't know. And for this show, I think they make it too easy. Like, things just happen really easy for the main character. Like, he beats the thug in the first episode like it's nothing. And then in the second episode, he immediately beats the judo champ guy, like, super easily as well. And then they both immediately vow to join the club. They're just showing
how, like, strong his resolve is. Because, like, that's what they're focusing on. Like, he's super dedicated to this. And he's, like, he's not going to let anything stop him.
Well, because... And I get that, like, some sports anime are all about, like, the main character has so much talent. Like Major is like that, right? But when they do that, and it's a good sports anime, they'll put some, like, really difficult challenges in front of them. So even though you see the character is super talented, like, it's still hard. Like, and I don't think this is hard enough yet. Like, I'm not like, oh, no, you know what I mean? And so because of that, it's not as good of a sports anime. I think that's what it is. Because it has all the things in it to be a good sports anime, and yet it's not engaging. And so that's my hypothesis as to why. Like, what's happening here to make it not amazing. Because it's good, it's just not great. You know?
This started off on the wrong foot for me, too. Because, like, literally the first scene of the anime is, like, a train groping where the main character saves this girl from this guy trying to grope her on the train. And then that girl is clearly going to become the club manager. It seems after the first couple episodes that I've seen, and I'm just like, that's such a cliche way to introduce like a romance or something. Like, it's so dumb. Also, like, there's another girl who's like the karate guy's younger sister, who's like a total ciscon, like a brocon, whatever. I don't know.
She's like, I hate
it's just,
you.
Yeah,
like, you beat my brother.
Yeah, exactly. And she's super pissed. But like, it's just generic is like the best way I can describe it. I don't hate it. Like, I don't love it. It's just fine. And I think you'll hear us saying that a lot today.
Yeah. I think the bottom line is we think the show's fine, but it just didn't click.
It doesn't have that special something. And I always hate it when a sports anime comes along and it's almost there, but it like isn't there. Because I like sports anime a lot. And I want to cover them. And we can't, you know, it's just not good enough anyway.
I did go watch a bunch of sumo wrestling videos on YouTube after this, as I was like researching like Yokozuna and stuff like on Wikipedia, and those were pretty awesome. I highly recommend checking out some sumo wrestling videos. But
I thought it was kind of weird that like all of the sumo guys are super jacked, but like whenever I've seen sumo, it's
they're
like
never
big
jacked.
Fat guys.
Well, I assume that they're jacked,
on?
but like they're jacked under the fat, so you can't see their muscles. That's what I always assume.
Right.
Yeah.
You need that weight to push people around and also to like make it hard for people to push you around. So, yeah. Anyway, should we move on to another sports anime?
Yes. Okay.
So, Gurazeni Money Pitch Season 2 is on Crunchyroll.
And
it's from all the same people.
Yeah, did either of you watch this, or is it just me?
No, because I never finished the first season. I feel bad. But I didn't want to just jump in without finishing it.
Yeah, so you're like a big baseball guy here.
Yeah, you were supposed to help me with these episodes. With some of it's fine. I got that.
I will do my best to help you with what you say about it.
Okay, so Gurazeni is interesting because unlike most sports anime, there isn't that hype factor that we were just talking about. It's almost I almost hesitate to put it in the sports genre because the feel is very different. It's so realistic as opposed to being like, we're going to beat this goal. You know what I mean? It's very like what an actual middle of the line player feels in the professional sports world. There's no like, and then he went into the game and he did this amazing thing and then he won and it was great. And Yeah, it's not like that. It's
Right.
like if Bamba wins, it's like a small win. And when he has setbacks, they're tough, but like he can get past them because that's reality. That's the reality of what happens in the real world.
Mhm.
So in the first episode, they do show some interesting. They kind of show Bamba as more talented than they showed him in the first season. Like he uses a lot of fake outs and stuff, which I am not familiar with a lot of the kind of fake outs that he used, which is what I was hoping you you would explain better. But
okay.
he does some like interesting plays that I was like, ooh, that was cool. He breaks his wrist, and then it shows him having to sort of like how something so small, like as him making that decision to make a play in this certain way, leads to him breaking his wrist, and then has this profound impact on him. And it's like the difference between him getting a promotion basically and him being at the same level and having to work himself back up to the level he was at before. And it's just frustrating.
Do you know if he broke the wrist that he throws with, or the one that he catches with his like glove?
I think it's the one he catches with.
That's a big difference. Yeah, that's more realistic to me, because if you break your throwing wrist, that can be like a career ender for a pitcher, depending on how it heals.
Yeah, no, because he was trying.
Pitchers have broken their offhand wrist and come back from
Yeah, because it wasn't like a big deal. He was trying to like basically get this guy out, and he did a bunch of tricks. And because someone else on the team fucked up, like that didn't work, and so he was trying to chase after him and get him, and like he got him, but then he broke his wrist. So,
damn.
Yeah, but yeah, so. And then it's an interesting episode, and you get to see sort of like what happens when a player gets injured and how that can affect everything. And then in the second episode, you kind of see like Bamba has this weird like resentment towards his like teammate, who his teammate has a family and he's about to have a kid. And he also almost has this like safety net because his wife's family owns like a bakery, I think it is. And so after he retires from baseball, like he's just going to run the bakery, and he's got everything set up. Like he's not worried, you know? And Bamba doesn't have that. Like Bamba's fucked if he retires and he doesn't have anything. And so you kind of see like he's a little bit resentful of all of that. And that was interesting to see. I bet that is kind of hard for a lot of players because like the future is so uncertain. I don't know. There's one point in this episode, like in the second episode, where the guy finds out his wife, who's about to have a baby, is like gonna have a C-section, and they act like she's gonna die or something because she might have to have a C-section, and I'm like, it's fine, dude. Calm your tit. Like, I'm assuming C-sections are like just a lot less common in Japan or something, because he acts like she's about to die, and he's like, they're gonna have to open you up. You might die. And I'm like, calm down, dude. Like,
it's a pretty common procedure.
It's very common here, at least, yeah.
So I'm wondering if in Japan, like, it almost never happens or something. Because that was interesting. One last thing I'd like to note. The new ending animation with the baseball players dancing is really cute. I would definitely say, if you're interested in watching the second season, just wait for the after song and like watch, because it's the same song, but they've done new animation for it. It's really cute.
Has the general animation of the show just stayed around the same level as last season? Or
it's still like subpar, but like the anime as a whole is so good, I give it a little bit of a pass for its subpar animation. So
I think that's fair. You know, animation isn't the end all be all of everything. You know, so yeah. All right, are we ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So next anime, Bloom Into You, which is airing on High Dive. The Japanese title is Yagati Kimi ni Naru, and the source is a manga. The studio is Troika, who I always remember from making Aldnoah Zero. Director is Makoto Kato, who directed The Beautiful Bones, Sakurako's Investigation. So, this is a story about two high school girls. One is a freshman named Yu. Not you. Sorry. Who gets recruited to be a part of the student council. at a school that takes like the student council really seriously. It seems like I don't know, like just super serious student council on this school. And she meets a girl who is running for student council president, who's a little bit older than her, named Toko Nanami, and they bond because Yu has like never felt her heart race for anyone who has ever like tried to like go out with her or like who's ever like had human contact with her. Like she just has never gotten excited in a romantic way about anyone. And she's like going around the school to find like the student council building, which is like way out in the woods on the school grounds. And she sees Toko turn down this boy who confesses to her. And as she's turning him down, she says like, I don't plan on going out with anybody who asks me out. It's not you. And then like lets him go. And so Yu confides in Nanami that she feels really apathetic about love, but she has this boy who like confessed to her like 2 or 3 months ago, who she hasn't responded to yet, which is like, girl, just give him a no. like at this point, like he's been waiting for months.
Well,
just
they were also used to hang out all the time, like even out of school sometimes. So like they were best BFFs.
They're friends. Yeah. So she'd been feeling conflicted about that, and Toko kind of helps Yu let this guy down. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the first episode, because of that experience, Toko's like, I think I'm falling in love with you. And I don't know about you, Cap, but for me, that felt like super fast. Did that feel fast to you?
I mean, it was, because like it did go fast.
Yeah, the synonym of the show is eventually I will become you. So what they both found out is that they're both seeing themselves in each other, specifically how they both look at love. So like, they're both, their hearts got racing, and then, to them that's like, oh shit, is this it? So. Well,
the thing is like, Toko's heart is racing, and like Yu is kind of interested in the whole situation, but she's very much reserved in that like, it's very one-sided, right? Especially as it goes on.
Well, her heart racing moment was earlier when she saw Toka getting confessed to.
Yeah, so, I suppose that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kat, what do you think about the relationship between these two?
She's going to be disappointed I don't hate this show.
I was sure that Leo would hate it, because like it reminds me of what's that show from like 2 seasons ago that Leo hated? The romance show.
Tsukigakure.
Yeah.
Well, that's more. Oh, that was more than 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, that's way ago.
But it reminds me of that, except between 2 girls. Like it's very like shy and we don't know what love is, and we're discovering it and discovering like ourselves and growing up and all of that type of feeling. And so I imagine like there will be a lot of coming of age like themes to this anime. Which is its own thing, and people really like that some. It was sudden, but I feel like they probably felt like they had to do the trigger quick so that they could get the audience interested. Because if they...
Yeah, I suppose,
if they drew it out anymore, like, you're not going to watch the rest, You only give a show like 1 or 2 episodes, and then you decide if you're going to watch it. So I'm assuming they needed to do something. So it makes sense to me why...
So unlike a lot of other romances, why I don't like them is they always seem like superficial and just like, I don't know, just don't like them. But these two actually seem like there's a depth to it. They're like, there's almost a rhyme and a reason to why their love may potentially work. I don't know where it's going, but I do like explodey things, so I probably won't rank this very high on my list.
It seems very reflective. It does. And I like that.
I was getting extremely distracted at times because their club room looks like it has black mold on fucking everything. The walls, the ceilings, the floors, like every scene they're in there, like, cause they're like, have this detached, club room, and it's like in the woods, and it just looks like the place is run down the shit, and I'm just like, they're all gonna die choking on the fluid in their lungs.
That's how this anime ends. Like, there's actually a scene in the OP where it shows both of them lying on the ground, and then like thorns, like growing around them, so maybe Leo's right. Maybe they die in the club room and nobody comes to them, and then like this forest grows around them.
Oh
you can take like every single screenshot. If you look at the walls, it looks like some black mold that grows in the fucking basement on those things. I don't don't know. I don't think it was a very good art. It looks cool. Like, it's really detailed, but
Now
I don't know what the shadow
Leo,
effect they got.
that Leo is going to come into this fucking club room with, like, a mask and, like, a spray bottle and just be, like, wiping down everything. Like, no, this needs to be fixed.
Oh, as bad as that place looks infested, it looks like you don't have any choice but to fucking tear it down, actually.
So, okay, the way I felt about this was, like, at the end of that first episode, like, when Toko is telling you that, I think I'm falling in love with you, she also get this, like, kind of crazed, almost yandere look in her eyes, which is, like,
it was
weird
a little
to
intense. It was.
And then in the second episode, I felt like I got a little bit even more tropey when Toko kisses you, like, out of nowhere without her consent, to show that, like, the love she feels for her is, like, romantic love, and, like, don't be confused. This is not a, like, girls being adolescence phase type of thing. Like, I actually am in love with you. And, like, Yu has zero reaction to the kiss. Like, and that was kind of weird to me because, like, she has this inner monologue about how she feels like I should have been angry to have my first kiss stolen, but I'm not. But I'm also not excited about kissing her either. She's just really weird personality, and almost, I don't know, like, almost asexual feelings about love, or at least, I guess, better way to put it would be pre-sexual. Like, she has not gone through a sexual awakening moment yet where she feels those types of feelings.
Yeah, I just don't think she's ready yet emotionally to be there. Like, she wants to be, like, my thought was, like, they both have these very idealistic, naive ideas about what love is that you have when you're young, and then as you get older and you are in relationships, you learn that things are not like that. You know what I mean? And you get more mature ideas about love. And so that's at play here. I don't know. Like, it's interesting. It'll be interesting what they do with it. It could be really good. It could be shitty.
I'm just really in it. I'm in it to figure out how Yu is going to develop. I don't really care about Toko as much. Like, she's kind of interesting, but, like, Yu is definitely the fascinating character in this show, and I'm very curious, like, how they develop her character.
Yeah, she needs some more progression with her character personality, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping for, I guess, is a good character progression. Yeah.
Speaking of girls with absolutely no personality,
Iroduku,
Girl in Colors on Amazon Prime.
Bitch. You did that. Okay, we're gonna fight.
The title in Japanese is Iroduku Sekai no Ashitakara. The source is original, which is always fun. The studio is PA Works. Ooh, we like that. And the director is Toshiya Shinohara, who directed A Lull in the Sea, Red Data Girl, Black Butler, and a bunch of Inuyasha movies.
Okay. So go ahead, Bcom. Why don't you just smear some shit all over this fucking anime, and then I'll fight you.
These two are going to go at it, and I'll just say I'm pretty much going to agree with everything Bcom has to say. So I'm stepping away. I'm not getting caught in this crossfire.
Okay.
So I've written a lot here, Kat, about, like, the setup. So, like, feel free to interrupt me when you want to, because I'll be just going on forever because there's a lot. But so yeah, the story follows a girl named Hitomi Tsukishiro, who is kind of a loner. And in my opinion, she sort of seems to be a loner by choice, because, like, in the very first scene of the anime, she's going to New Year's fireworks, right? And a bunch of friends from her school run past her and notice she's alone. And they're like, oh, come, all the girls from our class are coming. You want to watch fireworks with us? And then, like, she turns them down. And I presume that's because she's promised to meet her grandmother there tonight and not because she's just, like, antisocial. But, like, when she gets on her own, she says to herself, I don't mind being alone. And saying that over and over again will eventually make it true. And that just rung really hollow to me because, like, she has all these friends, like, asking her to do things, and she's like, oh, I'm alone, though. But, yeah. So, this is the type of character I just can't stand. Also, Leo and Kat are having, like, a battle in, like, the Google Doc right now. It's really funny.
Okay. Yes, okay, I can understand why you get irritated at her character. And it is kind of like a Sasuke-type character, like, I'm alone.
Yes.
And I'm going to be dramatic about the fact that I'm alone. Nah. But like, she's not that dramatic. Like, it could be worse. And I think it's sometimes, and just because someone wants to be a loner doesn't mean they're necessarily a bad character. Like, you can't be like, just because someone wants to be alone, I hate them. Fuck off. Like, I mean, there could be reasons
she's sad
why
about being alone and has all these opportunities
but
not
she's
to be
a
alone.
young
That's the
fucking
thing.
kid. Like, you don't know what she's been through. You don't know what her story is. You don't know what fucked
Well, that's
her up
another
in
problem
life.
I have.
Okay.
So we get this vague backstory, right? Like, Hitomi has, when she was a child, she could see colors, but she has now lost the ability to see the world in color. She sees it in shades of gray, which in like the real world would be diagnosed as like monochromatic vision or something called achromatopsia, which is typically congenital, but can also come from like illness or injury to your head that can cause you to only see the world in shades of gray. The anime isn't too interested in that. Like, it doesn't explain why she lost her vision.
Okay, so this is my theory. My theory is this is like some sort of magic curse thing. And like, it's supposed to be like a emotional metaphor for some fucked up shit that happened to her, okay? That's my theory. If it's purely an emotional metaphor, I'll be a little bit pissed off. I would really appreciate it if they would kind of hook some of this magic into the reason that she doesn't see color, because otherwise it's just going to be bullshit, and I don't like that. I don't usually like it when the modern world type thing gets mixed with like, there's magic in this world, which they did here. But if they hook it in and they make it like, oh, this is the reason, then I'll be a little less annoyed. So that's my theory. I don't know about you.
My theory is like, we don't see her parents at all in the beginning. We just see her grandmother, who seems to be sort of like in charge of her. So I'm wondering if something terrible happened to her parents, and that is all part of the reason. Yeah,
so some fucked up shit happened. Like, there's going to be some like flashback scene with like her crying and like them dying in some terrible way.
And that's why she sees the world in black and white.
It's going to be like some Harry
but only
Potter.
Sometimes.
It's going to be some Harry Potter level shit that went down, and she has a curse, and that's why she can't see colors. Y'all, that's what happened in here. What?
I want to say her grandmother pulled kind of a dick move when she's like, "You're going back in time," and she's like, "What?
Yeah.
I'm going back in time." I'm like, that's kind of a dick move, even if your intentions are good.
Because she even says like, "Oh, I'm sure it'll be sad for you having to leave behind like everyone you know and your boyfriend and all that." Like, and she doesn't even know if she has a boyfriend or not. And I'm like, how fucked up would that be if she had like friends and a boyfriend and everything, and she's like, "Oh, you'll never see them again. Bye, bitch, bye," and like just sends her back. What the hell?
Yeah, so at least she does ask. And like, her grandmother has been saving up magical power from the full moon shining on this like amulet thing for literally 60 years. And so she sends her back 60 years in the past.
Okay, but this better be a damn good reason. Like, if we find out this is all because like, oh, she has emotional problems and we knew she would have them somehow 60 years ago. And so we've done this just to make it so she works through her emotional shit. I'm going to be pissed off. I think this is one of those. I think this is one of those time travel stories where her grandmother knows that her granddaughter was in the past because it already happened. So she knew that she had to save 60 years worth of magical power for her granddaughter in the future. And the show is not going to be interested in explaining any of that. Or it could be interesting, and there could be some grand thing that she has to fix, and in the process, she fixes her emotional bullshit. That would be really interesting. That would be a good anime.
Oh man, I don't know. Like, so she goes back in time, right? And she ends up in this boy's bedroom, like, which I don't think is a coincidence.
But you know that it was hilarious. Like, and no, it's not a coincidence, but it made for a really good time for the first couple episodes. Like, with her sneaking out the window, and everyone's like, ooh, they were doing the dirty, and she had to go out the window. It was great.
And everybody's so bloodthirsty for babies to be made. They're like, no, nobody says it's a bad thing. They're like, it's okay, just have her come out the front door this time.
Like his mom is like, yes, this finally, like, a beautiful girl in your room. This is all I've ever wanted. Like,
I just wanted you to have sex. I'm so happy for you. Jesus.
But yeah, like, so they're in like Nagasaki of 2018, and that's the past. Like, she comes from the far future. They don't do too much stuff with her being like, you know, stranger in like a strange time. Like,
well, they do the thing with the door.
They do a couple things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like how she expects things to be lighter. Like somebody gives her a Band-Aid because she scraped her knees. She's like, "What's a Band-Aid?"
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. I like the door.
Yeah, so like,
I'm like, literally, it's one flip. Like, it's not hard. Like, she's sitting there and like trying, and I'm like, come on. I know you're a smart girl. You have a brain in your head somewhere. You can figure it out. Come on.
Well, she was kind of freaking out at the time, so I let that slide a little bit. But yeah, like,
yeah, it was funny.
Know. So she gets introduced to all these people, and everybody is in like the photography/arts club because it's like two clubs that have joined together to like have enough members. And the kid who does art is named Yuito. He's the boy whose bedroom she landed in. And of course, like we said, like everybody thinks they're dating now because like a couple of the girls took cell phone video of them or of her climbing out of his window. But like eventually that kind of gets like thrown to the wayside. Like people figure it out that it's like, no, this is something else. But by the end of the first episode, the thing that really is important that happens is that Yuito is drawing on his tablet in color. And for some reason, Hitomi can see those colors now. Like that, like a leap off his tablet. And so she's like, oh my God, this boy showed me how to see real colors again. He's going to fix all of my emotional issues.
Because that's all you need in life is to find a boy to fix your emotional issues. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's not a good theme.
Yeah, I don't love that theme. But like, okay, so like I actually watched 4 episodes of this, and I'll just say like briefly, like third episode, they set up a bunch of ships between the 3 boys and the 3 girls in the photography club. And fourth episode, the grandmother, who was not initially there in the past because she was like studying abroad in England, comes back as a teenager who is Hitomi's age and just like starts hanging out with her. And she's like, when she gets back, like I guess her family has already told her like, oh, by the way, your granddaughter is here for some reason. And so she meets her granddaughter and she's just like, oh, hey, how you doing? And like gives her a hug. And she's like, you're my granddaughter. Cool. And that's it. Like, there's no, like, tension or anything. And then by the end of episode 4, they, like, tell all of the other classmates, oh, by the way, she's my granddaughter also. And they're all like, oh, okay. They just, like, accept this. Like, it's so ridiculous. Because I guess they're used to magical worlds and this is fine. But I don't know. I, like, start thinking about, like, what impact it would have on the world if a mage was powerful enough to send people back in time. Like, that would create utter chaos. Like, it would be terrible.
Well, I imagine you wouldn't do it too often because, like, you'd have to plan it for 60 years, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the caveat, but...
Yeah, it wouldn't happen too much. But I'm sure, like, sometimes it would, and then it'd be bad. But, yeah. It was interesting.
So, yeah.
I think it's a good anime, if for no other reason than we can fight about it all the time. It'll be great. You and me.
That's a good point.
Going at it.
I would enjoy fighting about this constantly. It's also gorgeous. Like, it's beautifully animated, though I really don't like her character design. Like, I really don't like her, like, round face and how she's like, oh, God, I hate everything about this character, Kat. Let me tell you, like, if just cross everything in the world off the list that I don't like about anime characters, and it's this girl.
The only way she could be worse is if she was a lolly with twin-tailed drill hair.
I don't know. True. I think Bcom might like that a little better. Like, it might improve his opinion of her.
Well, I would understand why she acts like a child all the time.
Aha!
Acts like
confirmed! You all heard it here. Don't listen to this bullshit he tells you about how he doesn't like lollies.
All right, we gotta move on to a show that totally doesn't have lollies.
Oh my gosh.
Called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So more JoJo. I mean, come on. What's interesting is the character designs. They've moved away from like just everybody being super jacked to like a much more leaner look, which is interesting because everything Leo, before this, everybody's like jacked. What?
I need you to tell me how hot the guys are in this anime. Like, how sexy are they?
Well, they still follow the theme of being like this almost androgynous kind of in a way. But yeah, I mean, even though they're not as big as they are, they're still all like just sculpted muscles. They're all statues, chiseled statues. That's all they are.
Like the animation from frame to frame, though. Like, could you drool over this and be like, that's some hot ass? Like,
if this was your sexual preference, definitely for sure.
Leo, do you want to lick some people?
No,
after that
the girls in the show are definitely over everybody. But let's be honest here: either you're a JoJo fan and already watching this, or you're not. But
pretty much, yeah.
What they're doing for this part is they're following Giovanni, who is Dio Brando's son, which is extremely interesting. And if you don't know who Dio Brando is, he's basically the biggest antagonist in this series.
The guy who was like, "It was me, Dio," like the quote.
Yes.
Okay.
It was me, Dio. Yes. What's interesting, Kochi from Part 4, Diamonds Unbreakable, has already made an appearance in the show. So it's, all the parts are tied together. It's all still the same world, but not very rarely you see somebody from other than like JoJo himself come from a previous season. But
well,
I guess
I keep
Kochi
saying,
is very popular.
I keep saying eventually I will watch JoJo. And I almost did. I was almost like, maybe I can just jump in, and then I was like, no, I can't. I'd have to start from the beginning, and that would be a pain.
You can. Just only a couple parts here and there need to be filled in. But it's the show itself does usually do a good job. But like I would say, man, obviously I would love everybody to start from the beginning. But,
because I keep seeing pictures of this show, like this particular Part 5. And like the guys posed do look really hot, and like and like the comedy aspect of it, like the comedy that I've seen makes me want to watch it as well.
Oh yeah, they just take everything, and the creator just like goes nuts with it. I started on JoJo's Stardust Crusaders and was perfectly fine. So I think
I've been making my way through the first season. Like I finally got past like the first arc, which I didn't like very much, and into the second arc, and I already like it so much more. And then I just jumped into a couple episodes of season 5 to just see what it was about.
Yeah,
and going from like part 2 to season 5 is such a like ridiculous jump because like the stands are so crazy. Like there's barely stands in part 2. Like that basically shows up, I guess, in Stardust Crusaders for the most part. Yeah. And so it's like such a different tone that I was like, okay, I need to like have seen what led up to this. So I'm going to keep working my way through it. But yeah, I was like, wow, this is nuts.
So Kat, have you watched any JoJo?
No. See, that's the thing. So I've been like giving it side eye for a while. Like I keep looking, like seeing like a clip and being like, that's amazing, and then being like, I want to watch it, and then there's always other things I have to watch, like Hunter x Hunter and such. So eventually I will get to it, I'm sure. But that's why I had to quiz you. I had to know the laydown. I needed to know how hot these dudes were and how funny these jokes were.
Here, Kat, do you like guys with muscles?
Yes.
Okay, well, you'll like it.
Okay.
that's all I need to say.
Okay. All right. So now we're gonna do another long-term anime, Certain Magical Index. Did anyone watch this at all?
No.
No. I feel bad because like I was gonna give this like a couple episodes just to see but there's so much I have to watch before this point, and I just couldn't catch up on time.
It's too much.
My only introduction to this was like the first couple episodes of Railgun, which I watched a while back and I hated. So I don't know.
Oh, the director did Azumanga Daioh. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, Hiroshi Nishikori. Yeah.
Well, apparently we all fucking suck ass. We're sorry.
Apparently. I don't know. This is a super popular light novel series, and there's a huge fan base.
Y'all know that if you watch the rest, you're going to watch this. It's fine. Yeah. Keep watching it.
I know like some of our fellow podcasters, like Brains at the Trash Pandas, like has watched all of this. Like he'll probably do a review on this. Like go listen to him. He knows all about Index. So yeah. Let's move on.
Okay.
Boarding School Juliet.
If he's alive,
Prime.
Apparently he's probably fine. He probably didn't die.
He had a workplace incident, but today We're not sure.
I mean, he'll survive. He always does.
He'll survive. He's made of iron. So yeah, Boarding School Juliet's next show, Amazon Prime. Japanese title is Kishuku Gakko no Juliet. It's a manga. Studio is RErideD Films. And director is Seiki Takuno, who directed Love and Lies, Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches, and Sekko Boys.
So I feel like the scene at the very end of episode 1 is like the perfect, like snapshot of what this anime is going to be. So like they're screaming at each other. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Like they're like, we're going to battle again. And like the two of them, so it's like a Romeo and Juliet, foil or whatever.
No way.
And they're like, we're going to battle again. The two factions are going to go at it. And like, as they're about to do it, like the one guy, they've just confessed that he has just confessed his love to her the night before, and they've agreed to start going out. And like the camera goes to his face, and his face is just like a big dumb love mask, and his eyes are just hearts, and he's just like, I love you. Like dumbly, as they try to fight each other, pretending they're not dating. That's basically this anime.
Yeah, it's weird because it's Romeo and Juliet, except it's not. Because like in this version, like in real Romeo and Juliet, like Romeo and Juliet have never met. But here, like this Romeo has been in love with Juliet ever since they were kids, and they've been hanging out the whole time.
Well, at least
but
that
like
makes
she's like
more
a huge
sense.
tsundere towards him.
Because
at least
like
they're older.
Well, okay, because like if they literally had just met, like that makes no sense to me. People don't just like fall in crazy love with each other. Well, okay, sometimes they do, but it makes more sense if they've known each other. Okay,
I know, but then just don't call it Romeo and Juliet.
But it kind of it's like
know.
that forbidden love thing.
Yeah,
but
it's true. And like the warring houses are these dorms at their boarding school. It's like the black doggy dorm is the Montagues, and the Capulets are the white cats.
I don't understand why they made it the white cats and then the black doggies. Like, why not the black
why
dogs?
not like the white kitties? Like,
yeah, I was like, why is only the dog like cutesy? Why
I was
did
like
they
bothered by that. I don't know why.
I know, I was too. I was like, what the fuck is this? Wait. Thank you, Bcom. We were on the same page for once. High five.
I didn't even give it a thought. I was just like, yep, that's their names. It's anime.
Some of the black doggies try to like cut open Juliet's blouse with like an X-Acto knife at the beginning of this.
At first I was like, are they going to pretend like they raped her and like this is going to be a thing? Like, haha,
that would be awful.
We spoiled her innocence and we won or something. That was my thought on what they were going to do with that. But I'm glad that's not how it turned out.
Romeo comes to her defense, but like he kind of tackles her off, like away from them, and so she's not like sure if like he attacked her or if he kind of like is protecting her, and so she asks him that night, and then that's what Kat was talking about earlier, where it's like she's a total tsundere, and he's like clearly in love with her, and then they have to like figure it out, and like that's how like the rest of it goes too. It's like they each have like she has a guy in her faction who's like fawning over her, and he has a girl in his faction who's fawning over him, and they're both kind of jealous, and they're both like Juliet and Romeo are trying to keep it a secret that they're actually in love. I will say one thing going for the show is the girls are pretty cute. Like, especially like Juliet's pretty freaking hot. I'm not gonna lie.
It's
like
probably,
that's definitely a point in its corner.
It would probably be a good anime to like put on in the background while you do dishes.
Yes. But
it's not amazing. Let's put it that way.
It's pretty funny at times, though, too.
It has some comedy. Yeah,
it's got some decent comedy chops. Like it's not like by any means like a bad show. Like it would be a fun show to watch, like especially group watch with a group of friends or something. It'd be fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Unlike this next fucking anime called Gakuen Basara Samurai High School, which this fucking show...
This show is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Okay, it's ridiculous. And the way that it's ridiculous reminds me of like the current political election. Like the whole thing from the beginning is like a chaotic, confusing mess. The plot of the story, they don't even explain to you very well. They just kind of like go in and they're like throwing little bits at you like in random ways that you're like, wait, what? What's happening? I don't understand. People are shouting things. People are fighting. People with giant egos are doing stupid things for votes. This is exactly like the U.S. election. Right? I mean,
I think you are onto something.
That's a pretty good comparison. By the way, go vote. Go vote this week. That's all I have to say. Off the topic of politics now. Yeah, this is just like a spin-off of the Sengoku Basara like video game series and like anime adaptations that have come out. Which are all about like, you know, the leaders of like Japan during the Sengoku Jidai Warring States period, except now they're in high school, and like Date Masamune is like the leader of the baseball club, and like another one is the leader of the soccer club, and they have to fight each other for control of the field, and it's like, okay, this is dumb. Like this is so dumb.
It has also, no plot.
While I'm watching it, I'm like, are they competing with Black Clover to see how many yells they can get into the fucking episode? Oh my god! When you went to go watch it, I go for fun. Do a yelling counter while you watch it.
It was a lot.
Okay, but we should have known the moment we saw that the director made 18 IF, which was one of those god awful pieces of shit that has ever had the sad...
Okay. He only made episode 5 of it. I don't remember. I think episode 5 was the one where the girl had like the eating disorder or something.
I don't know. I understand some people liked it. It was weird. Okay? It was not good.
Kat, Bcom and I both liked it. We both gave it.
I know, Kat.
Well,
you're
you guys are weird.
Like that show.
I love y'all, but you guys are weird. That show was weird. Okay?
That show was super weird. I think we liked the weird things it tried to do, and we kind of laughed at the times it failed, basically.
I could understand sort of like laughing at a show and watching it because of that, though. But you have to admit it wasn't great.
Man, I wish I knew what episode that was. I would tell you what we gave it.
I don't remember, but yeah. So, Sengoku Basara. Maybe if you're really into it.
No, don't watch it. I always put like 18IF in the same category as like ED Live. You remember that one? That bullshit one?
Oh, I didn't watch that, but I know the show. Yeah.
Oh, honey, I try. I watched like 2 to 3 episodes of that, and I was like, why did I watch this? Yeah, that category of anime where you're sad that you wasted your life and you cry a little on the inside as you think about it.
Well, now that we've wasted our lives, let's take a short break to listen to our fellow podcasters who also regularly waste their lives talking about anime and wrestling and other things. All right, we'll be right back.
Bit. Yeah.
Hey.
Warning, the following clip may contain descriptions of explicit behavior conducted by Bishi boys.
Now, that's not to say he didn't get physical. Quite the opposite, in fact. Our boy Kent was researching all the ways to please a woman.
Pulled his lever.
And he put some of that learning into effect, if you know what I mean. Let me give you a scene from the show that I really quite liked. My research shows that women find it pleasurable if men place their fingers here, then apply some pressure and begin to rub that area. Do you enjoy that? Is it giving you pleasure? Please respond. I need verbal... Please respond. I gotta get this out.
Get it out.
Please respond. I need verbal confirmation that this is something that you enjoy. Heroine Sadie tells him that it's hurting her as he's rubbing her too vigorously. Ow. Despondent Ken removes his fingers and looks at them. Perhaps I applied too much pressure. Don't worry, Kent. Head pats are difficult to master.
And that was Yata from the Reanimator Pod. If you want to hear more, you can check out our website. That's REanimatorPod.com. We release new episodes every Monday.
Don't drop that. Hey, don't drop that.
Hey. Do you like wrestling?
Whether it be in a bar, an arena, some weird place in Asia, or in a stadium?
Or the occasional penis plex?
Well, if any of these things might tickle your fancy, anywhere in between from penises to wrestling, you can come and check out our podcast.
Our podcast name is Smack It Down. We talk all things WWE, New Japan, anything else in between.
I'm Jay Silver.
I'm Corey Gold.
And we look forward to you joining us.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day indeed.
The Trash Pandas bring you this nugget from another trash can. What happens when Brains and Bullets discuss episode 2 of One Punch Man?
pretty much gene splicing heads. They will
Yep.
Yeah, they will splice genes. They have a cyborg gorilla. They have a frog that walks on 2 legs and communicates at long range. Like they got. You think they splice
the Lion King?
Yeah, they have the lion. They have a f***ing lion, beast king, and
Simba.
Yeah, he's f***ing Simba. I don't mean he's f***ing Simba. I mean he's f***ing Simba.
We at Trash Pandas Watch Anime dig through the trash so you don't have to. You can find the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter where you'll get live updates from what we do.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back with Saturday anime. And why not start Saturday off with a show that has Re in its title, because we always need more shows like that.
Yes, of course.
RErideD, which is also Derrida spelled backwards.
I feel like every time a director chooses to put Re in the name of a show, or like the semicolon or something, they should get slapped in the face. Like, they can do it, and we'll all accept it, and like with a straight face be like, okay, but they have to be slapped in the face, like full hard.
Yeah.
Just once.
There just has to be like a little bit of deterrent, like just every time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make
Derrida
sure they're dedicated to
it. This is airing on Crunchyroll, and it was kind of weird the way it came out, because it premiered on September 22nd with the first 4 episodes all at once. I guess they wanted to like put all of that out there to get people interested. And then on October 3rd, it started again with episode 5, and it's like literally as we're recording this, there are 9 episodes of the show already out. We've watched a couple of them. So
Jesus.
It's an original anime from Studio Geek Toys, which is a new
little
studio.
Interesting. Yeah.
Interesting name. The director is Takuya Sato, who directed Asagao to Kase-san earlier this year, which I thought was a really good movie. Strawberry Marshmallow, Selector Infected Wheatcross, Steins Gate. And also of note is the original character designer, who is Yoshitoshi Abe, who's very famous for his designs in Haibane Renmei, Welcome to the NHK, Serial Experiments Lane, Text and Lies, all those sorts of things. So yeah, this is like a sci-fi show where this guy in the past had like created these like killer robots.
Okay,
basically.
But he didn't create the killer robots. His dad and his dad's business partners have created these like robots, and they're not killer robots. They're like robots that can help you do like anything. Almost like there's a lot of sci-fi like this, right? Like the anime is interesting in that it has a very sci-fi tone that reminds me of a lot of sci-fi things that are not anime. So it has it's something I haven't seen a lot of anime do. I'm intrigued by the world, like he was saying, that it's basically robots, and then he finds that the new line of robots that his dad's company is coming out with have a terrible flaw in them. That means that if a bunch of them all get ordered to do the same thing at the same time, they could like lose control of them. And he tries to tell them this, like, we need to patch this. I have a patch. And they're like, well, but if we tell people that there's this problem, then like we won't make money and people will be upset. And so instead of patching it, we're going to just kill you, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Is it called Skynet?
Yes, it is.
Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, are you guys talking about Terminator or not? I can't tell.
Right? It really does feel kind of like something like that, which is why it has a weird tone. Because like a lot of even sci-fi anime don't have a tone like that usually. I don't know. And so they kill off the dad, and they're like, we're going to tell everyone you killed your dad. And they like go to get him, and he's like, oh no, and he like runs away and somehow ends up in this bunker where he's like, oh, I've gotten into this bunker to hide, but it froze me in time. And then he wakes up, and it's been like God knows how long, and you know, it's the future.
I think like 10 years though. just long enough for the little girls who he knew in the past to be of age.
Oh yeah, to be hot.
Is what I noticed.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I will give them credit that like the scene where he goes into the bunker and like then the time travel happens is really artistically done. Like I gave them credit for that. Like the angles and the way they handled it was well done. Even before he makes the time jump though, the way that he somehow is really close with this little girl, even though she's a little girl and he's an adult, is weird. Like, why the fuck is he so close with that girl? Like, he knows the dad, but like, there's really no reason for him to be so close with her. And doesn't like his sister say something like, eventually you're gonna be my sister-in-law or something? And I'm like, how the fuck? What? Like, she's so young. What? Like, it was weird. And creepy.
It was weird, yeah.
And like the way
it felt like the author knows like, oh, this character's gonna be important in the future timeline, so I have to set them up now, even if it's really awkward to do that. You know, that's what it comes off like. Yeah,
it's creepy. Like you shouldn't. I don't know. That part I didn't like, but I will say that the setting is something new that I haven't seen in an anime before, and so it is notable for that. So now you can say all the things you hate about it, Bcom. Go ahead.
I think my main issue with it is just like I think the animation looks real jank a lot of the time. I think some of the CG stuff with like the car is decent. Like it looks pretty decent. Not as good as like the fucking awesome CG car in Double Decker or anything like that. But it's kind of fun as they're like running away from robots and stuff. And it's kind of funny that like the evil corporation guy is basically like young Donald Trump. And he's like completely incompetent and like I don't know. I get a kick out of that, like, so I kind of like that aspect. But I just haven't, like, when they introduced like the other characters, they all kind of felt like tropey to me. Like there's like the mercenary guy and he has this little girl with him who's super cute, and then there's the other girl who is like friends with the little girl he knew from the past, who's now an adult now. And like she's gonna help him find her, and it's just like I don't know, it's interesting, but I'm just not sold on it. And I guess it also just it's weird because like the way we do our release schedule, like we want to cover things like by week basically. And this is so far ahead of us already. It'd be like, oh wait, what do we cover like episodes 4 through 9 next week? Like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
Jesus.
So
that would
I
make
don't know.
sense.
I don't know. We have to think about that one, I guess, basically, because it's interesting, but I don't know if it's. I don't know. I don't know if it fits our podcasts.
Yeah,
we'll have
it
to
might
discuss
not
it.
fit. I don't know, but like if you like sci-fi a lot, it might be something to try out, just because it is so different. But be aware that there's weird young girl hentai-ness.
Yeah,
but
that was definitely the weirdest part. Though where I am, and then I think I got 3 episodes in, he hasn't met the future version of that girl yet. So if they're gonna be like a love interest or something, they haven't gotten there yet. So I don't know, but hopefully they won't do that. You know, that would be weird.
Oh, but you know they're gonna. Don't even pretend that they're not gonna. Come on, this is an anime.
I don't want to say I know,
the signs.
but I know.
This is like when you go into the jungle and you see someone come out and they've got like a fever, and you're like, hopefully they don't have fever, and I hope I don't catch it, but you know what's gonna happen. You've seen the movies too many times. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
That was
all right,
let's move on.
Release the spice.
All right, let's release that spice. Let the spice flow. Airing on High Dive. This is also an original anime. This was the best premise they could come up with. Studio Le Deuce. Director Akira Sato, who's a brand new director. Who, honestly, the directing in the show is not bad. Like, so that's good job for that guy. But, all right, this is a show about a bunch of high school girls that are secretly spies called Tsukikage, who fight to protect their city along with other spy agencies around the world against an evil criminal organization called Moryo. The main character, Momo, is like your everyday high school Genki girl, whose father was a police officer who died, like, I would say in the line of duty. They don't like make it like completely clear, but it seems like that's what happened.
Yeah.
And she basically hopes to follow in his footsteps in protecting her city one day. And she gets the chance to do that when she's recruited into the Tsukikage, when her fellow classmates figure out that she has like very keen observation skills, along with one really weird but useful skill. So she gets invited by her classmates to this cafe, this curry cafe called Wasabi. And at one point in the conversation, like one of the girls is like leaning towards Momo, and Momo just straight up licks her on the neck. And I was like, when that happened, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What the fuck?
Yeah. It feels like they made her ability, like licking people, to like find out how they are, just so that she could constantly lick and kiss like all the other fucking girls in this anime to be like Yuri-ish. That's all it is. Yep. It's bullshit.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
This anime is actually very Yuri, like as it gets on in the episodes too. Like
of the anime we covered last episode with the guy and the drool. Why they gotta come up with these bullshit excuses for characters to kiss all the time?
Ulysses. Yeah.
Come on.
I think this show is better than that one for sure because it's like more fun.
Better. Yeah, but it's still not.
So
amazing.
The question is, Kat, would you rather have a guy lick your face or drool into your mouth?
That's not even a question. First of all, I've had both of those things done. It's gross both times. But at least when someone...
First off, I've had both of those done.
The licking of the face is better, but still, like, it fucks up your makeup, and then you're like, dude, why you gotta be like that? I don't know.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So
anyway,
like when she licks people, she can like tell a bunch about like their physical state, like in really like specific things. Like they're in a car later, and like she licks this character named Fu, and she's like able to tell like, oh, she's like 2/3 angry at me and 1/3 jealous at me. Like she's like it's so ridiculous. We later find out that Fu is jealous because she's apprenticed in the Tsukikage to this girl named Mei. And she's jealous that Mei recommended Momo to be a new spy for their group because she thinks like, oh, maybe she likes Momo. It's just dumb. It's dumb, stupid stuff. Speaking of the apprenticeships, like they're all kind of Yuri ships between the mentor and the younger spy. Like you could see it in like the OP and the ED. Like all the girls are paired up in pairs, and they all seem to have like eyes for like the other typically, except. Like, even, like, Momo is, like lusting after the girl she's gonna be mentored by, like, Yuki Hanzoman, who's, like, sort of, like, the leader of the group. And then, like, the third couple is this girl, like, Hatsume, and this other girl, Goe. And, yeah, they're the Spyce Girls, all right? They're the Spyce Girls.
Oh
Sorry, I needed to say that twice. And you can't stop me from saying it. And yeah, they unlock their supernatural abilities by biting into like a little bit of a substance called spice.
They take
which
drugs.
Kind of looks like a cinnamon stick.
They fucking take drugs. That's what they do.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It makes me think of the drugs from earlier in the Double Decker show.
Oh yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah, the overdrive and shit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So because it unlocks their natural limits, which is just like Double Decker. Cognitive wise and agility wise.
This show is about doping up a bunch of very young middle school girls in order to get them to fight crime and lick each other. Good job, like Japan. Good job.
Sasuga Japan. And the second episode like introduces they have like a huge underground secret lair. Like their spy organization has this long history dating back in Japan. It was founded by this woman who sold spice overseas. They have tons of money and like gadgets and stuff. And like the rest of the episode is like Yuki like brutally training Momo, the main character, and what it means to be a spy. And she kind of learns pretty quickly, to be fair, which is pretty cool. And like, yeah, finally it's clear that like they're moving forward. There's this group of 4 girls from Morio, the evil organization, who are going to be their nemeses. And there's like this angry lolly named Byako, who is like their first obstacle, clearly. But yeah, I don't know. It's a fun Yuri action show. It's pretty decently animated. The music is pretty fun, like EDM. It's weird, and I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's fine.
It's a clone. It's a clone of the good anime that actually
Princess Principal.
Yes, it's just a clone of Princess Principal. That's all.
But with like lots of like weird fan servicey stuff.
Yeah, well, okay.
I don't know, it's more Yuri than Princess Principal was as well. Though Princess Principal had some Yuri in it for sure.
And I feel like the characters aren't as strong in this as they were in Princess Principal. Like if they're gonna do a clone, like if you're gonna do a clone, then at least give me some aspects of the clone that are better than the thing that you're copying. Like otherwise, I'm just mad. You know?
Yep.
Like if you improve on it, then maybe I can forgive you. But if you're just dragging along like on their coattails, then it's like, come on, you know?
Come on, Leo, I know you want to say it.
Well, I do.
Well, yeah, you want to say, oh, you mean like Planet with Cat?
You fucking, but that was like a while ago. Okay, but like, that's an homage. That was years and years after the thing.
I expected Leo to be like, boom.
Something that was literally a few seasons ago, and they're like, we're gonna copy it and make it more Yuri, and then we're gonna have little girls do drugs, and that's our plan. That's a different thing.
I really got that comparison in like the end scene of the first episode where they're in the car chase and like the girl jumps from the car to the other car and stops them, because that's exactly how the first episode of Princess Principal goes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, that's very similar.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like,
I did, when I was watching the beginning of the episode, just when they were like, oh, young girl spies, and I was like, oh, like Princess Principal.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, I didn't really think about it.
The only one of them that I like their character design is the blonde with the glasses. But that just might be because I'm a blonde with glasses. So I was like, I'm blonde with glasses!
Sume Aba.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only one that I thought was actually, like, I would remember her. The other ones, the character design wasn't great.
She looks like me.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Next show is Radiant. It's on Crunchyroll. The source is a manga, and I think it's based on a comic by a French artist, actually. The studio is Lerche, and the director is Seiji Kishi, who's really good. He's directed Angel Beats, Assassination Classroom, Tsukigakure, one of the best anime that Leo hates, and Asobi Asobase, one of the best anime that Leo loves.
Yep.
So...
it's true.
Yeah.
He's a hit or miss guy. I mean,
more hit than miss, I would say. But yes. So yeah, it basically follows this boy named Seth, who is a sorcerer. He is known to normal people as an infected, because in this world, like, people who have come in contact with these monsters called like the Nemesis and live to tell the tale are these sorcerers, basically. And so a bunch of people like discriminate against them because like sorcerers typically like bring bad tidings or like things to their villages. And so he's really like heavily discriminated against. But yeah, he wants to be a hero. He wants to, I think, discover like the homeland of the Nemesis and figure out like what his powers are all about. And yeah, I don't know, like it's pretty generic shonen, but I didn't think it was too bad. Like it was actually pretty decent. It's hard to tell where it's going for the first 2 episodes, but the art and animation was like real clean, pretty good. I just don't know if I'm like hooked on the like premise, because it feels like not very different from many other things. Also, the monster looks like No Face from Spirited Away, and I couldn't get it out of my head the entire time.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure.
I actually really like this. I didn't like it quite as much as a Karakai Circus, but almost as much.
Right, yeah.
I think it's a good shonen. There's not a ton these days that come out that are good shonen. I don't know. I'm going to give it a few more episodes at least. Like, it's not amazing, but it's definitely something that I'm enjoying, and it's decently done. And I like all the character designs. And, you know, it's a shonen. I like shonens. So...
yeah, this is a good season for shonen, like, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of shonen shows, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty good, actually. Like, I would definitely watch more of this.
I
This
feel
is
like
one
there's
of them.
more shonen shows than usual, too.
Yeah, and just like not like necessarily like the big long running ones. Though I guess like Fairy Tail is back, but like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have much more to say about this. Anything else, Kat or Leo?
I would just say if you like shonen, I would give it a few episodes because it's a pretty good one. Okay. I think it being in the same season as Karakai Circus makes it not stand out as much, but it's good in its own right. And it should be.
Circus is killing it.
Yeah.
So if you like American loggers or lumberjacking in general, you might like this next show.
Yeah.
Sword Art Online, Alicization. The source is a light novel. The studio is A1 Pictures. The director is not the director of the first couple seasons of Sword Art. It is instead Manabu Ono, who directed The Asterisk War. Also, the Irregular at Magic High School.
Were you getting flashbacks?
The Asterisk War is, man, that show. Man, that's bad. So Kirito, that old dog, he's up to his shenanigans again. This time, he's testing out a new prototype of full dive VR technology for a company literally called Wrath. It's like, Kirito, they're called Wrath. Like, Asuna's like, well, Wrath is actually a creature in Alice in Wonderland. But I'm like, Asuna, it also sounds like the word wrath. Like, tell Kirito to stop this shit.
Oh my god.
So that might have been the first indication that, like, this wasn't a great idea, but the new VR tech claims to have discovered the secrets of the human soul, which they refer to as a Flugtlight. And by using a machine called a soul translator, they are able to send the person's soul into this alternate world called the Underworld,
Why
which is another
always
reference
gonna
to Alice
have
in
like
Wonderland.
special names for everything? Like
Because
the
it's
soul
super
tra-
cool and important, Cat, okay?
the soul translator and the
Look,
world
the soul
they call
translator,
the
abbreviated as
underworld.
SLT, and the Flugtlight, which is actually abbreviated as FLA. They're very important, okay?
Which they refer to as the Flugtlight. Oh my god. It's dumb.
When Kirito comes out of the dive, right, he's testing for these people. He's like got this confidentiality agreement, and like they're able to make it so he doesn't remember anything that happened. So like there's this huge long scene in the beginning of the first episode.
What? And he agreed to that?
Yes,
What
he did.
bullshit is
Kirito
this?
is a madman, Cat.
Why would you
He's a
agree to
madman.
not remember anything? That's like a date rape drug waiting to happen. Like, you don't know what happened.
Kirito's gone through some shit. He's made some very bad and questionable decisions in his life.
And he continues to do so, apparently. I don't know. Like, the first episode is over, it's almost like an hour long.
Yeah, it's
Why
like
did they do
47
that?
minutes or something.
That's not an episode.
I think they wanted to have that opening part where he's with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Alice in this Flugtlight world, on the Underworld. And then he comes back, like they have to have this whole intro, and then he comes back, and they wanted to have the rest of the episode be with like, oh, hey, here's Asuna, here's Sanone, here's all these characters and we're going to explain the premise. So they wanted to wrap that all in one big episode. But,
I don't know. I just think Kirito is stupid. And, like, he makes stupid decisions.
You would be right about that.
He has no brain. And someone needs... Actually, why is Asuna not, like, making decisions for him at this point? Because she seems to be, like, more capable. Like, why did she not look at this agreement and be like, no, Kirito, like, you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be some fucked up shit. Like before. Let's not do this. Let's just...
Instead... yeah, right? Like, instead, when he tells her, she's like, I'm scared, Kirito. This seems like a bad idea. He's like, oh, no, it's totally fine. Like, also, when I go in there, it's like I spend a month in there, and it's only 3 days. And she's like, are you okay?
And it's only a company called Wrath that sends you to a place called the Underworld. Flags? Anybody?
Yeah,
also, it's this guy from the
she
Ministry of
doesn't stop
Affairs
him.
who asked me to do it, and I don't trust him at all, but, I'm still going to do it.
But yeah, she doesn't stop him. No, that would be too much. Asuna needs to start taking control of their relationship and being like, listen, we know that you don't make good decisions. From now on, I make all the decisions. Because, like, he's not smart. I don't know. This frustrates me.
Also, like, when he's telling Asuna and Sinnoh and all this, they're in a bar, and Agil, who's one of the characters from Sword Art, like, the initial season, is just there, like, cleaning glasses the entire time, listening to this entire conversation, and you would think he would have something to say to Kirito about this. Like, he's seen Kirito do all this crazy stuff before. You would think he would be like, yo, Kirito, this is a really bad idea. Like, you need to stop.
Does this ever start off well? Ever?
No.
Oh my god.
Speaking of starting off well, like, all of the time Kirito spends in this underworld, he is basically, for the most part, with this guy, Yu-Gi-Oh! And he's literally just with him sitting by this huge tree, chopping at it with an axe. Because this tree that is next...
He keeps, like, putting strikes in the ground. And I'm like, this is your life now? This is what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's dumb.
Pretty much. It's so boring. The first couple episodes of this anime, besides the part where they're back in the real world and they're talking about everything that's happening behind the scenes, like everything in the underworld part is so boring to sit through. Like, it's starting so slowly. And I hate it because, like, the original Sword Art, I loved the start of that anime. It was so exciting. Like, and I guess they feel they need to have this big setup before they can do exciting things. And it's just like, all right, please get on with it.
I will forgive them for the boringness of the beginning if they will reward us with not having the end of this anime be dog shit. Because as much as I liked the beginning of both season 1 and season 2 of Sword Art, the ends of those anime are always dog shit. Like, they give you the really good part at the beginning and you're like, I liked that. And then they, like, follow it up with some terrible bullcrap that you would then have to digest. And you're like, oh. But so if they reverse it and it gets better over time, that will actually be an improvement. And I will take that. So we'll see.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say the animation style is interesting because, like, of the parts where they're in the video game, because, like, it's like kind of CG-ish, and it's probably like the best CG I've seen other than Land of Lustrous, because that's kind of like artsy CG, but like this is pretty good, you know?
Yeah, it's like a lot of digital. I think it seems like digital hand drawn and some CG elements for sure. I mean, it looks nice. Like, it's a big, you know, popular show. It should look pretty nice.
Yeah, I was impressed that they did something like not totally hand drawn and made it look decent. So
they still make some questionable decisions, like in episode 3 where Kirito is taking a bath and then he looks down into the bath water and it looks like his head is his dick, and it's really weird.
Wouldn't that be funny if someone had just a second head instead of a dick? Would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
It'd be a terrible thing.
I don't know.
Thing,
you could make it work.
Sounds like the things of nightmares.
You could make it work.
God.
What if you were gay and you just had a second head instead of a dick? I think that might be good. I don't know. You might like it.
If you say so.
What's the next show, Bcom?
Yeah, I guess we can move on. Sword Art, like, I'm worried that it's just going to be chopping trees for 40 episodes, but I assume it's going to get better.
What would happen when you had to zip up your pants if you had a second head instead of a dick?
The next show is Gridman.
Okay.
SSSS.Gridman, airing on Crunchyroll.
Also known as Thighs, the anime.
The Japanese title is Rika Takarada's Thighs, the anime. The source it was actually from a live-action tokusatsu TV show originally, which is kind of cool.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, like an Ultraman-type show. The studio is Trigger, who've done fantastic anime like Darling in the Franxx and nothing else that I can remember. Director is Akira Amamiya, who did Inferno Cop and Ninja Slayer from animation for Trigger. So some of their smaller, more fun projects. Leo, what do you think about this one?
I don't know about you two, but I find this show a lot of fun. I think the visuals are mostly okay, and I think the soundtrack is pretty great as well. There's a lot of mystery on what's going on, and I'm looking forward to like the answers to these. Hopefully they do that. Well, there's one thing that's bugging me though. It's that tens of thousands of people would basically be dying in these attacks each time.
Yeah.
So, not to mention, entire buildings would reappear the next day and nobody would be in them. So, I just wonder if they're going to ignore this, or we might see the effects of this playing out in the world, which would be really cool. But, like, to me, that's just like a big hole in their plot. And I'm like, what? They can't. Every time somebody dies, you just can't make them disappear.
Well, it's kind of weird, right? Because, like, there's one, like, from one episode to the next, like, their school gets destroyed and then it magically just reappears. But, like, a couple of the students are missing.
Yeah,
and
it
it's like
specifically
weird.
shows, like, the gym getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that they take out, like, the volleyball club, I believe, which was a couple of her friends. So, like, I feel like it's kind of just isolated to the volleyball club practicing in the gym at that time. So that's why they're the only ones that disappeared from the school.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, when you see the monster battles, they're destroying entire blocks. Nobody is surviving this. So I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I think it's pretty awesome. I really do like this show.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like...
it's okay. Yeah. It's very stereotypical to me. Like, I know it's like a next and the next, like this big line of the same shows in the series or whatever. And I'm sure longtime fans will love it and like suck its dick and be like, I love this show so much. But like,
Planet with.
Oh, fuck off. Oh, you know what? This is nothing.
I couldn't tell what you were saying until the last time you said it, Leah.
I don't even know. I don't even know what to do with you. You fucking. Okay. Anyway. This anime is very to me. I don't know. It's a stereotypical boy who loses all his memories. He gets a mysterious power. He finds out he can control this mecha thing. It's very formulaic. Like I said, I'm sure people who love the series will love it.
Wait, are you describing Planet with or
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna hit you in the fucking face. We live in the same state. I can do it.
Look, this can't be Planet With because there's a girl who looks like she's not wearing pants the whole time because she has a long hoodie.
You know what this
and
doesn't
short
have that Planet With has? Like plot and like thought and philosophy. That's what this doesn't have.
I disagree. It has both plot and thoughts.
It has thoughts.
It definitely has thoughts.
Big TH for those thoughts there, yes.
There is a thread on Reddit today of 390-something pictures of Rika Takarada from fan artists all over the world who are just glorifying the thighs. Not to mention...
Yeah. Before I
and that's just the Rika fans. Then there's the other girl who has like feet, and all the foot fetishists are coming out like, oh my god,
Akane.
sweaty feet.
Yeah. Before I even started this, I think there's only one episode out. I was just on Twitter, and this was right after the Bowsette thing, and I was like, what's this new meme that's going on? Why is everybody obsessed with this girl's thighs?
Oh god, it's been fun watching the fan art. Like, I didn't get it at first, but I do, like, as I watched like the second and third episode of this, I did get into it. I like the mystery. I like the older guy that showed up and started like helping them out. Like, he fixed their like super old
Caliber
computer.
Samurai.
Yeah. And like he can like cut apart like a huge thing with his sword. Like he's pretty awesome. Like, I like the character designs. Like, they stand out and they're being redrawn for a reason because they're really great. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm in it for the mystery. It's pretty fun.
Can we talk about how this guy admitted to hearing voices for several days and yet none of his friends took him to a psych ward?
That's true. That is true. To be fair, like the things he was hearing did sort of come true.
I believe Rika did bring him to the hospital at least twice, though.
But like she didn't like call a psych ward and be like, "Listen, he's still hearing voices. This is very disturbing to me." Like, you don't just let someone walk around who's like, "I see things that aren't there. I hear voices." Like, you don't do that.
I believe this was resolved. This was resolved within the second day when the other two kids then could hear the voices also.
Yeah, but like, it had been a couple days though by that point. Like, you would think that they would be more concerned.
She's like, oh, it's a phase. He'll snap out of it.
Yeah, they're probably not putting too thought.
All I'm getting from this is he has no real friends. Like, this kid before this, like, no one liked him.
We don't even know he might be an alien. like the guy
He's
from
not
Planet With.
All
for
right,
we know.
Leo. I'm gonna fucking come for you. You want me to come for you? I have a paddle.
Phrasing.
It's got your name on it. All right.
You know who's coming for you, Kat? You know who's coming for you? The Goblin Slayer is coming for you.
Oh shit! Good transition.
The Goblin Slayer on Crunchyroll. The source is a light novel. The studio is White Fox, and the director is Takaharu Ozaki, who directed Girls Last Tour, which is a really damn good show. Also of note, Kenichiro Suehiro, who did the music for Girls Last Tour, is also doing the music for this show.
Oh, no way. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Kat, did you get to watch Girls Last Tour?
Yeah, I love that show.
Thank God. You were about to lose your host job if you said anything else.
You know.
Wow.
We're having some clashing times today, Leo. to back
I'll
out,
give like a brief
back
synopsis
off from this ledge. All right.
So this anime starts off with this D&D group of adventurers who are real like rookies, but they're like real excited about like going off to like do their first quest or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And they go into this cave and they want to like their quest is to defeat some goblins. And it all goes very wrong because they're like super arrogant and they're super uninformed about the realities.
They don't understand. They're naive.
Yeah, they're
all.
naive. Yeah.
I didn't
One of
take
them
it
is
as
really
them
worried.
being really arrogant. Like they're just not. They're not smart. They're just dumb.
I guess they're dumb and naive, yeah. The main priestess girl who is actually going to survive this encounter is the one who's like really worried about the whole thing, rightfully so. And so they run into this group of goblins, and the goblins like set up a great trap, and they like get them all fighting on their own because they're, again, very young and not experienced in handling something like this. And so they kill the first guy. They rip the second girl's clothes off and like snicker and like go to town on raping her. And then like the show like shows you her like lifeless eyes and like drool coming out of her mouth as like she's like going through this. They start like ripping the clothes off another girl, and then like, you know, things are looking really bad. And then this absolute unit in a suit of armor shows up. This god among men shows up, and he's like, I know how to handle this shit. And he just, you know, he basically takes control of the situation and slays the fuck out of some goblins. And yeah, like, all right, I have a whole bunch of issues with the way this show is first like set
but you
up
say it's
and like
heavily
delivered.
Sexualized. Okay, you say
It is. They rip her clothes off. They put her in doggy style. They, like you see her boobs.
Okay, but like, how are they supposed to cover a rape scene without it being slightly sexual? It is
first
sex.
of all, why did the goblins have to rip her clothes off in the first place?
Well, because they're going to fuck her.
Good
they
parts.
can't fuck
They
her
could rip
if she
her
has clothes
bottom
on.
clothes off. They didn't have to rip her top off.
I don't think they give a shit what they rip off.
I don't think they do either. These goblins
Have
definitely
you
don't give a fuck.
ever
You're right about
literally
that.
ripped someone's clothes off? It's not like you're very surgical about it. Like, I only need this part. Like, you're just ripping at things. Like,
well, it's the whole thing is weird because so like we find out there's like no female goblins, right? So like I assume the only way goblins can reproduce in this world is with like other species,
Human females, yeah.
And so, and I guess human females, maybe other females, I don't know, but like at least human females. And so like, I don't know, you would think they would be like less like crazed and excited and more like, oh, we have to do this to survive when they're like, but they like have this like happy giggling thing when they're like going to town on her. And it's like, what? Like, why? So they're supposed to be like absolute evil, and like we're supposed to want them to be defeated.
I
But
don't
it just
think
like
they're
didn't make
supposed to
sense
be
to me.
evil. I just think they're supposed to be like animalistic and like
Yep, I agree.
animals
with
have like a drive to have sex. Like they don't enjoy it like we do, but they have a drive. And I'm assuming,
But they're not animals because they have like shamans and they have like,
but
you
they're
know,
like they're like
what's the show say?
They're like
They're
proto people. That's
dumb,
what I
but they're
think
not
they're
complete
supposed
idiots?
to be. Yeah, like they're supposed to
Yeah.
be proto people. Like they're not supposed to be as smart as people, but like close, right?
right.
So
Right.
that's I don't know. I think this anime has a lot more violence than it does sex in it. Like they didn't even sexualize the rape scene that badly. Like I came into this anime with all of the stuff that I heard online about it, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be terrible, I'm gonna hate it. It's not that bad. Like the rape scene, I mean, it didn't offend me. Like I mean, I hate it. It didn't.
One of the things that annoyed me the most about it was what happened later on, where you see that girl who got raped, she gets pulled out of there, and she's put on a cart and sent off to a convent for the rest of her life, basically. Because the girls who get raped in this anime are mind broken for the rest of their lives and can't come back from it, apparently.
That did annoy me a little, because like the whole trope of like, once a woman is raped, she's just irrevocably damaged and can't ever move past it, and is mentally scarred is annoying.
To your imagination if they got better or not.
I guess so. Like maybe she'll come back later on, but I don't expect her to.
Well, the show said never heard from her again, so she's probably out. So
I will agree with you there, Bcom. It's annoying.
The second episode, I had more problems with the second episode, honestly, too. Like,
why?
Because they introduced this girl named Cowgirl, and
who called her Cowgirl?
That's literally the name of her character. It's Cowgirl. Everybody in this anime is kind of called like what they are, like mage or Goblin Slayer or Cowgirl.
Well, it's Musume Ushikai. Isn't that horse?
No, trust me, her name is Cowgirl. Like I know this to be true.
Okay.
And it's because she's got big udders, Leo, okay?
I get it, but I'm just like, why?
But here's the thing, okay, like, so Cowgirl's village was raided by goblins when she was younger. Okay,
before you go on, I read this. I think you got distracted during a scene, but go ahead.
Okay. So she goes off to the city for one night when she's a little girl. And so she's not there when her entire village gets raided by goblins.
You didn't miss it then. Okay.
No. I still think this is completely unrealistic, but like I understand what you're going to argue, but like, so she's not present when her village gets raided by goblins.
Correct.
Goblin Slayer is there as a little boy. He's under the floorboards and he sees like
he sees all this. Yes.
Like people getting raped. I think it's his sister.
Destruction, killing. Yes.
And so she doesn't see it, but like she knows that like goblins are a constant threat and that they typically come for women for a very specific reason. Yet she sleeps naked her entire life.
Okay, number one, seeing it is totally different than just knowing it's happened and have it happened. And also, people have weird coping mechanisms, and they tend to be in extremes. And her sleeping naked is a very it would be all right. That's one extreme coping mechanism.
It could be.
Go ahead.
It could be a coping mechanism. Like, I don't know. Like, we don't know much about her. She seems very happy-go-lucky given,
honestly,
like, her circumstances.
I think you're reading into that too much, and that's just the fucking fan service. Like, the show's like, we're going to have fan service, and it's just like, that's just like they pointed out in the second episode, and I was just like, all right, they're going to have fan service every episode. Cool. So, like, I think it was just, you're just reading into that too much.
I don't know. I just think I felt that was unrealistic in like a medieval world for like this girl to be sleeping naked in a world where like her parents literally died to a goblin night raid. Like I just felt like she would be more on her guard. She would have like a knife by her bed. She would be dressed and like sort of ready to go at any moment. You could argue that like, oh, the Goblin Slayer kind of lives with her, so she just feels completely at ease because like he'll protect her. Like I think that might be like the most like reasonable explanation.
Or maybe she's just gone the completely other way and is like, well, people die and things happen, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. That's the way some people respond to that stuff.
That's true. That could be it too. But like those are my main problems with the anime, is just like fucking Cowgirl and like the rape in the first episode. Honestly, like this show after the first couple episodes has gotten into like a very, typical like RPG Dungeons and Dragons-ish adventure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so like
I totally agree
after that point, like I don't like I just think it's unfortunate that they felt they had to set it up with all this like really dark and gory stuff. But
no, I liked it because I like the dark tone. I like
love
the dark tone. Yeah,
It's
Leo,
totally
something
dark.
we can agree
Yeah.
on.
First note, I really like the dark tones the show is using.
I mean, it's by far the most popular show of the season on Mal. It's more popular than Sword Art Online on Mal
You
as
know
of
what?
today.
Maybe Leo
So-
and I are just tired of all the moe bullshit, and they finally put out something that wasn't totally moe bullshit, and it's dark and it's gritty, and at least it's like a cool drink of water to throw back after all of that sugary juice. That's what this is.
So what I'm really liking about it is I like how it's kind of putting a realistic twist on what adventuring could really be like. Like, you know, every group that sets out is not going to make it back. They might have taken it a little bit too far in the first episode, maybe, but I feel like they got their point across. So I'm not really bothered by it at all. I'm like Kat was. I was like, I went in here and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be awful. And then I watched it and I was like, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I was like, well.
And like I already said in the second episode, they established there's going to be fan service every single episode. So that's that's whatever. Cool. It's in there. It's anime. I really like how methodical the Goblin Slayer is about killing the goblins. I thought that was really neat. I'm really looking forward to seeing what more he does. And I would. Yeah, I'm gonna keep watching this show.
Well, like the things he does make sense. Like, they're like kind of cruel and harsh, but they make sense. Like he kills all the babies, and he's like, "Yeah, because they're gonna grow up and they're gonna be bad, and like I'm gonna kill them." Like I like that. I was like, "Yeah, that's realistic."
Yeah, I don't know. That like feels like I don't know. To me, that feels like a weird slippery slope. That if you apply that to things in like real life.
But we're
like,
not.
I don't know. It's just
it's goblins.
Yeah, he's applying it to this
like,
world. He specifically says that the goblins hold grudges really, really well. So
I know. Well, that's what he believes.
They're going to fuck up.
The priestess also questions him and is like, well, clearly they're not all bad. But like, you know, he's like, well, there's enough of them that are bad that like, you know, the only good ones are the ones that never leave their cave. But like, couldn't there be a way that like, goblins and humans could come to some kind of agreement?
Well, he does say, he goes, I guess if you looked hard enough, you could find a good goblin out there.
A good goblin, so.
But like, is it worth it to take the chance?
Yeah.
Like, no. So.
No, genocide. Woo!
Oh my god.
So, I don't know.
God. I love you.
It's a little bit simplistic morality-wise, I would say. That's I don't know. But whatever. It's an anime. It's what it
genocide. And with that, we will get to the vote.
Oh god.
All right, we're going to take a short break to deliberate now that we've all voiced our opinions and come back with the vote. So we'll be right back.
Yes.
Whoop. And we're all back alive. Woohoo!
Oh,
The
yeah.
deliberations are over. The vote must now begin. So, it wouldn't be a new season of anime if this podcast didn't change its format completely yet again. We've changed the format so many times, but
I didn't go down without a fight, y'all. I was like, no.
Oh, this was contentious, yes. This was definitely like
this was hard.
A tough decision to come to. But if you remember when Leo and I were doing the podcast before Kat ever got here, for a while we were doing it weekly. And we really liked doing it weekly, but we just got overwhelmed by the workload. And we were like, oh, we can't do it. So we moved to a bi-weekly show, but then we didn't like last season how we were falling behind like the shows that were airing. Part of that was Attack on Titan's fault. Like, let's all blame Attack on Titan a little bit. But,
just blame Aaron.
Let's unfairly blame Attack on Titan for our own.
But then also, like the episodes were going so long, and that's like a burden not only on like me who edits the episodes, but also on like everybody who's part of it, because it's like it's going and us and the viewers for listening to it. So we wanted to make it more accessible, more relevant, because we're closer to the anime as they're airing. And so we decided we're going to go back to weekly releases. But with that, we decided we're going to cut 2 shows. We're not going to do 10 shows anymore. We're going to do 8.
Which I fought because I feel like it's always hard to pick the best ones already. But I liked the weekly format. And
And the other thing is that, like, if you look back at a bunch of, like, the past seasons where we covered anime, there was never a season where, like, more than 8 good anime actually made it to the end with us liking all of them.
But I will argue that usually we don't figure out which ones are the good ones until like episode 9.
well, unless you're me. Unless you're me, if you want to look at last season.
Yeah, Leo was on fire
don't
last
even
season.
fucking start. Do you really want to go there? No, I don't think so. But anyway, so we're gonna try. I understand the logic. I do.
And yeah, we still have our mid-season cuts, so we can still swap out and everything, but to just keep it manageable week by week, we're going to do 8. And so, with that being said, let's list off our top 10 picks for the season. Leo, do you want to go first from 10 to 1?
Oh, I can. So, all right, number 10, Rascal Does Not Believe in Bunny Girl. Number 9, Goblin Slayer. Number 8, Gridman, as Bcom says.
Hell yeah.
Number 7, Karakuri Circus. Number 6, Banana Fish. Number 5, Double Decker. Number 4, JoJo Part 5. Number 3, The Girl in Twilight. Number 2, Golden Kamui. And number 1, my favorite, is Zombieland Saga.
Nice. Good picks. Good picks.
Yep.
Good picks. All right. My top 10, which is now final. I will cross out this not final note that I made. All right. Number 10. As much as I think the main character is super boring, Iroduku.
I can't believe you ranked that number 10.
This was a tough process. Like I will tell the viewers I had so much trouble ranking anime this season. It's not that there's like a whole bunch of really great shows. It's that there's a couple of really good shows and then a whole bunch that I'm just like, I don't know if I like this or not, but I find it interesting. And like, I think what Kat said during the podcast about how like we would have fun fighting over Iroduku kind of swayed me. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make that my number 10. Mm-hmm. Number 9 is also Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Number 8 is Bloom Into You. Number 7, I have The Girl in Twilight. Number 6, I have KyoAni's Sarune. Number 5, Zombieland Saga. Number 4, Gridman. Number 3, Karakuri Circus. Number 2, I have Run with the Wind. And number 1, I have Double Decker, which just to me was like the best executed show I've seen this season, with the best character designs, the best plot and story, the most fun thing I've watched by far. I don't know. It just really captured me.
That's amazing to me. That's really amazing. That's okay, though.
All right. So,
we all have different.
Kat, what are your top 10? Yeah, we're all different.
Yeah. So number 10 for me is Karakuri Circus. Number 9 is Banana Fish. Number 8 is The Girl in Twilight. Number 7 is Suzure Blah. I don't know how to say it.
Archery boys, cute archery boys.
Yes, hot, sexy ass archery boys. 6 is Rascal Does Not Dream. Oh, you know, Bunny, the Bunny anime. I don't know why it has such a fucking long name. It's stupid. 5 is Iroduku. 4 is Goblin Slayer. 3 is Kamui. 2 is Zombieland Saga, and 1 is Run with the Wind.
Okay.
Wow. So, what's that bring?
I love me some sports anime, all right?
So from all that, we can get to our 5 consensus picks. So, Leo, do you want to list off our top 5 picks by consensus?
Yes. Number 5, Karakuri Circus. At number 4, that I didn't even vote for, ended up being Run with the Wind.
Hype.
Number 3, to Bcom's much dismay, is Golden Kamui's second season. But to Johnny Cat's delight.
Yes.
Damn it.
To pretty much everybody's agreement, number 2 is Girl in the Twilight.
Which is really surprising. I don't know how that pick is going to last. Like, when we look back on it, we might be like, we were crazy. But I like that show.
We all 3 agreed this may fail or it may be good, but we don't know. And at number 1, which everybody should have guessed at this point, is Zombieland Saga.
Hype. All right.
Oh God! Now Locks, Bcom, you are the first to go. We don't even know
well,
yet.
we all know. I know
yet,
what
everybody.
he's gonna do.
We're staring at the blank doc. Also, we're just going on whatever Bcom types in this right now and what the rest of us type.
I mean, yeah. We have only one lock each this time, instead of our two like hard and soft locks last time.
Yeah, I know.
So
Bcom.
it really has to be like the one show we really want to follow. And like I guess like I don't know. I listed it as my number 1. I have to stick to my guns. If I'm wrong, I'll change it. But Double Decker is going to be my lock.
Okay.
I really like this show.
That was my prediction. I'm glad you went
Leo,
with it.
You are next.
It made my pick a little bit better, and I'm not going with my next logical one in my rankings. I'm actually going to save Banana Fish.
That's what I thought you were going to do too. Yeah, that's good. I like Banana Fish.
Okay. What was my next one? That was...
Gridman, I think. Wait, no, that was
no,
me.
JoJo. And I was like, there's no way
JoJo.
he's that.
Yeah.
He would not do that. So I trust. Okay. I'm getting to know y'all. Okay, so this puts me in a very difficult situation because, like...
Yeah, I do not envy your position right
They have fucked me.
Sucks.
They have royally fucked me because, like, now I have to pick between Goblin Slayer and Iroduku, which I like both of them. But let's be honest, both of these anime are like the anime that are very interesting and they interest me a lot. But like they could fuck me over so bad, right? Like they're both anime where like if it goes downhill, it goes down. Like Goblin Slayer, I feel like it could be really interesting. It could also devolve into some boring shit, like in episode 5, and then we're stuck with it, and like we're sad, right?
Well, at episode 5, you could
you
do
know what
one
I'm
more
saying,
episode,
yeah.
and you could switch it.
But like it could devolve into some boring shit, or like Iroduku, we could think it's going to be really interesting, and then we could just be really irritated with it. Because it ends up being like,
and I feel the
plot.
same way, honestly, about the next couple of choices you have, like Rascal and Sarune. Like, I could totally go either way on either of those shows. Like, Rascal has been interesting up to now, but it has like a lot of elements of just like a boring anime at the same time. Sarune is really gorgeous, but also is a ton like Free, and we've already seen Free. I don't know.
My concern with Rascal or Bunny Girl Senpai or whatever is that even though I think it has a better chance than the other two of having an interesting plot down the line and like covering something of meaning, I'm also concerned about them leaning too heavily on the harem aspect, which I'm not really a fan of.
Yeah.
But I still think of these three, I like watching Iroduku. I don't trust them not to make it boring in the second half. I also don't trust Goblin Slayer not to make it boring in the second half. I think Rascal, or I'm just going to call it Bunny, I think it probably has the best chance of actually having an interesting plot that we can talk about later on in the season, which is what I'm looking for. So right now, I'm going to pick Bunny, but know, listeners, that of these three shows, this was my least one I'm excited about. I'm picking this solely based on the fact that future, down the road, I feel like it will be better. Not because I am more interested in it. I'm taking one for y'all. I'm taking one for the team.
Man, I was hoping you were going to go with Goblin Slayer, personally.
But okay, I like Goblin Slayer so much, but like, I feel like later on it's going to get boring. I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong.
I think it's already kind of started to get a little bit boring.
I totally loved episode 2. So
I didn't mind it.
Well, I meant like 3 or so. I've seen episode 3.
What I'm saying is, like, after a few more episodes, I'm wondering what they're even going to do with it. And I'm like, do I want to be stuck with this thing that then is boring? And like the same issue with Iroduku. Like if they don't introduce some plot point that's like very mysterious and like, oh, she came back to solve this and it's only about her development, which could be a possibility, then I'm going to be pissed off at it. And I don't want that. And I feel like, at least with Bunny Girl, like they have to address some deeper plot point because of these like power things, right? So hopefully they'll give us something.
Yeah, I like your logic.
Yeah.
I totally back this kind of logic. Yeah, I think it will be interesting to talk about for sure. So yeah. All right. Our top 10. Sorry. God, I'm back in last season. Our top 8. Our top 8s are Zombieland Saga, The Girl in Twilight, Golden Kamuy second season, Run with the Wind, Karakuri Circus, and then my lock of Double Decker, Leo's lock of Banana Fish, and Kat's lock of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Yeah.
So that's it. We have finally finished our impressions for fall 2018. And so we will start getting into weekly reviews starting next week. So,
and you know what comes with weekly reviews? Cat
What's
verbally assaulting me with I'm sorry, Cat verbally threatening me with a physical assault every fucking week now.
It's all right, Leo. I think you can take it.
You love me. You know you can do it.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to Cat's verbal assaults on your ears.
You love it,
and
don't
mine
y'all?
And Leo's. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us
Secret
on YouTube
masochist.
to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. Oh, and by the way, it's on Spotify now as well. So you can check us out there. There's a link in the description. Follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates and info. And with that, we will see you next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Later, everybody.